Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shadow Man Stories. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep, so before you drift off, I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the stories. My name is Elizabeth Hart, but everyone calls me Liz. I'm a forest ranger here in Wayne National Forest in Ohio, and I need to tell you something that's going to sound crazy. I see things before they happen. Not good things, never good things, only death and pain and disasters that I can't stop. It started 6 months ago when I was still working as a mechanic in the Air Force. I had this dream about a helicopter crash. Not just once, but every single night for 2 weeks. I saw it so clearly, the spinning metal, the fire, the screams. 5 people were going to die. I tried to tell my captain, tried to warn them, but nobody believed me. They thought I was having a breakdown. Then it happened, exactly like I dreamed it, every detail, every scream. 5 good people died because nobody would listen to a crazy woman who claimed she could see the future. So I quit the Air Force and became a ranger. I thought maybe if I stayed in the quiet woods, the visions would stop. I was wrong. They got worse. Now I'm walking through these autumn woods with my partner Tom Bradley. He's 24, younger than me, with kind eyes and a smile that makes me wish things were different. But every time I look at him, I taste copper in my mouth. Blood. His blood, because I've seen him die not just once, 17 different ways. And in every single vision, it's my fault. The fog is rolling in thick today, and the air smells wrong. Like electricity before a storm, but mixed with something else, something that makes my skin crawl. The birds stopped singing an hour ago, and even the squirrels have gone quiet. Animals know when something bad is coming. They're smarter than people that way. Liz, you okay? Tom asks, touching my shoulder. You look pale. I want to tell him. I want to grab him and shake him and scream that he needs to leave this place right now. But I've learned that knowing the future doesn't mean you can change it. Sometimes trying to change it only makes things worse. I'm fine, I lie, just like I always do. The leaves crunch under our boots as we walk deeper into the forest. Each step feels heavy, like I'm walking towards something terrible. The radio on my belt crackles with static, and for just a second, I swear I hear my own voice calling for backup. But that's tomorrow's emergency call, bleeding through from a future that hasn't happened yet. Tom pulls out his binoculars and looks up at the sky. That's weird, he says. Look at those clouds. I don't want to look. I already know what I'll see. But I look anyway, and there they are, clouds shaped like wings. Massive wings that seem to be watching us, waiting. The temperature drops suddenly and I shiver, not from cold but from knowing something is coming. Something that's going to force me to make a choice no person should ever have to make. And Tom, poor, sweet Tom, who trusts me completely, he has no idea that in 3 days, at exactly 11:47 p.m., I'm going to let him die. We keep walking, and the forest gets stranger with every step. I can hear things that aren't there yet, children laughing somewhere in the distance, but we're miles from any school. The sound makes my stomach hurt, because I know those same children will be screaming soon. Do you hear that? Tom asks, stopping to listen. Hear what? I say, even though I hear it too. Sounds like kids playing. He tilts his head, trying to figure out where it's coming from. Should we check it out? No. The word comes out too fast, too sharp. Tom looks at me funny, but I can't explain that. Those voices are coming from next Tuesday, when a school bus full of children drives past the old mining site. The mining site. My hand starts shaking just thinking about it. That's where it happens, where everything goes wrong. We come to a clearing and Tom stops walking. Look at this, he says, pointing at the ground. There are scratches in the dirt, deep ones, like something with huge claws walked through here. But they're not random. They look almost like numbers, like a time. 11:47. I feel sick. Those aren't just scratches. They're a message. Probably just a bear, Tom says, but his voice sounds unsure. Bears don't write the time of death in the dirt. My radio crackles again. This time I hear it clearly, a woman's voice calling for help. "Emergency at the mining complex," the voice says. "Children trapped, need all units." That's my voice, my future voice. Tom doesn't seem to hear it. He's looking at something else now. "Liz, come look at this." I follow him to a tree at the edge of the clearing. There are more marks here, carved deep into the bark. They look fresh, but I know they've been here for days already. Time works differently now. Past and future all mixed up together. The marks. Spell out words. Save them. "Who would carve something like this out here?" Tom asks. I don't answer because I know who. It was me. I carved them 2 days from now, right after I watched Tom die. Right after I make the choice that will haunt me forever. The air gets colder, so cold I can see my breath. But it's still October, and the weather report said it would be warm today. This isn't natural cold. This is the cold that comes before death. Tom shivers and pulls his jacket tighter. "Weather's changing fast," he says. "Above us, birds start flying in weird patterns. Not normal V-shapes like they should. They're flying in circles around and around, like they're spelling something in the sky. I don't want to read what they're writing, but I can't help it. The letters are big and clear. Choose." "That's not normal," Tom says, watching the birds with worried eyes. Nothing is normal anymore. The forest knows what's coming. The whole world is trying to warn us, but there's no way to stop it. I close my eyes and try to block out the visions, but they come anyway. Flashes of the future mixing with the present. I see the mining complex collapsing. I see children screaming. I see Tom running toward the danger, trying to help. And I see myself standing there doing nothing to stop him. When I open my eyes, Tom is staring at me. "Liz, you're scaring me. What's going on?" I want to tell him everything, about the visions, about what's coming, about how he's going to die because I let it happen. But the words won't come. All I can say is, we need to get back to the station. But I know we won't make it in time. Because 3 miles away, something is already moving through the trees. Something with wings bigger than a plane and eyes that glow like fire. Something that's coming to show me exactly how Tom dies. We start walking back toward the ranger station, but we don't get far. The fog gets thicker with every step, so thick I can barely see Tom walking right next to me. It's not normal fog. It moves wrong, like it's alive. "Can't see anything," Tom says, staying close to me. "Maybe we should wait for it to clear." I want to say yes. I want to sit down and wait and pretend that waiting will change anything. But I know what's coming. I can feel it watching us from somewhere up in the trees. That's when we hear it. A sound like nothing I've ever heard before. It starts low, like wind through the trees, but then it gets higher, sharper, like someone screaming. But not human at all. Tom grabs my arm. "What was that?" Before I can answer, the fog around us starts to glow. Not bright, just a soft red light that makes everything look like it's covered in blood. And in that red light, I see them. Eyes. 2. Huge red eyes watching us from up in the trees. They're bigger than car headlights, and they don't blink. They just stare at us with this terrible understanding, like they know everything that's going to happen. "Liz," Tom whispers, "do you see that?" I can't speak. I can barely breathe. Because this is it. This is the thing I've been dreading, the thing that's been showing me all those visions. The eyes come closer. I hear the sound of wings, huge wings beating the air. But it's not flying toward us. It's floating down, slow and careful, like it doesn't want to scare us, like it wants us to see it clearly. And then I do see it, all of it. It's tall, maybe 7 feet, with grey skin that looks almost human, but not quite. Its wings are enormous, stretching out wider than our truck. When it moves, the wings make no sound at all. But the worst part is its face. It looks almost human, but the eyes are too big, too knowing, and when it looks at me, I feel like it's looking right into my soul. Tom takes a step back, but I can't move. I'm frozen, staring at this thing that shouldn't exist. Then it talks. To me, not with words. The voice just appears in my head, calm and sad. "Elizabeth," it says without moving its mouth, "you already know why I'm here." I do know. I've always known, somewhere deep down. This thing has been sending me the visions, showing me what's going to happen, preparing me for the choice I have to make. "What do you want?" I whisper. The creature tilts its head, and suddenly my mind fills with pictures, not my own thoughts, but visions it's putting there. I see the mining complex 3 miles away. I see the old tunnels underneath, cracked and ready to fall. I see a school bus full of children driving past tomorrow night at exactly 11:47 p.m. And I see what happens next. The ground gives way. The bus falls into the hole. 30 children trapped underground. By the time help arrives, it's too late. They're all dead. "No," I say out loud, "that can't happen." The creature shows me more. It shows me Tom running toward the mining site when he hears the screams. Running too. Tom Bradley, the best person I've ever known. But then I think about those children, 30 innocent kids who just want to go home to their families. Kids who have their whole lives ahead of them. 11:47. The ground starts to shake. Just a little. At first, then more. Tom looks back at me, confused. "Liz, did you feel that?" I open my mouth to call out to him, to warn him, but no sound comes. The choice has been made, not by me, but by something bigger than both of us. The earth cracks, open with a sound like thunder, but not under the bus. The bus is safe, parked on solid ground. The crack opens right where Tom is standing. He tries to run, but it's too late. The ground gives way beneath him, and he falls into the darkness. I hear him call my name once, just once, before the earth closes over him. 11:47 p.m. Exactly. The shaking stops. The rain stops. Everything goes quiet except for the sound of children crying on the bus. Safe children, alive children. I run to where Tom fell, but there's nothing there. Just solid ground, like nothing ever happened. Like Tom. Bradley never existed. But I know better. I know what I did, what I chose. The creature appears beside me, its wings folded, its red eyes full of sorrow. "I'm sorry," it says in my mind, but it was the only way. I fall to my knees in the mud where Tom died, where I let him die. The children on the bus are safe. Their families will never know how close they came to losing everything. And Tom is gone forever, and only I know why. The creature spreads its wings and lifts into the dark sky. Before it disappears, it leaves me with one final message. "This will not be the last time, Elizabeth. You are the prophet now. The burden is yours to carry." As it flies away, I realize the terrible truth. This was just the beginning. There will be other disasters, other impossible choices, other people I'll have to sacrifice to save the many. I am the prophet now, and prophets don't get to save the people they love. The visions got worse after Tom died, much worse. I tried to go back to work, tried to pretend everything was normal, but how do you pretend when you can see everyone's death? The other rangers, the visitors to the park, even strangers I passed on the street, I could see exactly when and how they would die. And the creature kept coming back. It would appear in my dreams, showing me disasters that hadn't happened yet. A bridge collapse in 2 weeks, a fire at the elementary school next month, a car crash on Highway 50 that would kill a family of 4. Each time, it showed me the same terrible choice: save one person, let others die, or do nothing and watch everyone suffer. I lasted 3 months before I broke. They found me at the ranger station at 2 in the morning, drawing pictures. On the walls with a black marker, pictures of disasters, maps of where people would die, times and dates written over and over until my hand cramped up. "Hart, what are you doing?" my supervisor asked when he found me. I looked at him with eyes that felt like they were bleeding. "The bridge on Miller Road is going to fall down next Tuesday at 3:17 p.m., I said. "Mrs. Patterson will be driving across it with her twin babies. You have to close the bridge." He stared at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. They put me in a hospital after that, a place with white walls and doctors who asked too many questions. They gave me pills that made everything fuzzy, but the visions kept coming anyway. The creature visited me there too. It would sit in the corner of my room, watching me with those sad red eyes. "You're fighting it," it said in my mind. "But you can't fight what you are now, Elizabeth. You are the prophet. You see so others can be saved." "I don't want to see," I whispered back. "I just want Tom back." Tom's sacrifice saved 30 children. His death had meaning, just like all the choices you'll make from now on. I spent 6 months in that hospital. 6 months of doctors who didn't believe me and pills that didn't work. 6 months of watching other patients and knowing exactly when they would get better or worse or die. Then came the storm. I had been seeing it for weeks. A massive thunderstorm that would hit the hospital on June 15th at exactly 9:23 p.m. 3 guards would die when lightning struck the main building. 7 patients would be hurt when the backup generator failed. But I also saw something else. A window of time when the staff would be distracted, dealing with the emergency. A chance for me to walk out of that place. When the storm hit, everything happened just like I saw it. The lightning, the screaming, the chaos. And while everyone was running around trying to help, I walked out the front door into the rain. I've been on the streets ever since. People think I'm just another crazy homeless woman. They see me talking to myself, warning them about disasters they don't believe will happen. They give me spare change sometimes, or tell me to get lost. But I'm never wrong. I warned the gas station attendant about the robbery that would happen. 3 days later, he laughed at me. The robber shot him in the leg, just like I said he would. I told the mother at the bus stop that her son would fall off his bike on Thursday and break his arm. She called me a witch. On Thursday, she rushed her boy to the hospital with a broken arm. I tried to warn the construction workers about the train that would fall. They ignored me. 2 men died. Every disaster I see comes true. Every death happens exactly when I say it will. And each time I have to make the choice. Save one, lose many. Or save many, lose one. The creature still visits me. It appears in alleys and abandoned buildings, showing me new disasters, new impossible choices. This is your purpose now, it tells me. You are the bridge between what is and what could be, the guardian who makes the hard choices. I didn't ask for this, I always say. Tom didn't ask to die either, but his death saved those children. Your burden saves countless more. Last week I saw a school bus crash that will happen next month. 15 children will die unless I make sure the driver, Mr. Jenkins, doesn't come to work that day. The only way to stop him is to make sure. Help just like he always does. And in that moment, at exactly 11:47 p.m., something happens to Tom. The creature shows me 17 different ways it could happen. A falling beam, a gas explosion, a cave-in, always at 11:47 p.m. But then it shows me something else. Something that makes my blood turn cold. If Tom dies at 11:47 p.m., the timeline changes. His death creates some kind of ripple that stops the mine collapse from happening. The children's bus passes by safely. 30 lives saved, 1 life lost. Tom touches my shoulder. "Liz, what's happening?" "You're just standing there staring at nothing." He can't see it. He can't see the creature or hear its voice in his head. It's only talking to me. "You have to choose," the voice says in my mind. 1 or 30, Tom or the children. You cannot save both. I want to scream, I want to run, I want to wake up and find out this is all just another bad dream. But the creature's red eyes are so gentle, so sorry for what it's asking me to do. There has to be another way, I whisper. There is no other way, it says. I have seen all possible futures. This is the only one where the children live. The creature spreads its wings wide, and in the shadow they cast, I see it all again. Tom's death, the children's safety, the impossible choice that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Then, as quietly as it came, the creature folds its wings and steps back into the fog. 2 days, its voice echoes in my mind as it disappears. Choose wisely, Elizabeth. The children's lives are in your hands now. The red glow fades, the fog starts to clear, and Tom is standing there looking at me with worried eyes, having no idea that I just learned exactly how and when he's going. To die. Liz, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. If only it was that simple. 2 days passed like a bad dream. I try to act normal around Tom, but I can't look at him without seeing his death. Every laugh, every smile, every kind word feels like a knife in my chest because I know what I have to do. I could warn him. I could tell him to stay away from the mining complex. But I've learned something terrible about the future. When you try to change it, it just finds another way to happen. If Tom doesn't die at the mining site, those 30 children will. There's no way around it. The night comes too fast. October 30th, 1987, 11:47 p.m. is only hours away. Tom and I are at the ranger station finishing our reports. He's humming while he works, happy and alive, and I want to scream. Outside, it starts to rain. Not normal rain. The drops sound like they're hitting the roof in a pattern, tapping out. The time, 11:47, 11:47, 11:47. Getting nasty out there, Tom says, looking out the window. Good thing we're inside. If only we could stay inside forever. At 11:30, my radio crackles to life. It's the emergency call I've been waiting for and dreading. All units, we have reports of children in danger at the old mining complex. School bus may have broken down near the site. Possible gas leak. Need immediate response. Tom jumps up, grabbing his jacket. Come on, Liz, kids are in trouble. This is it. This is the moment. I could stop him right here. I could hold him back, tell him we need to wait for backup. But if I do, the mine will collapse in 17 minutes. 30 children will die. I stand up slowly, my legs shaking. Tom, maybe we should... No time, he says, already heading for the door. Kids come first. You know that. Yes, I know that. That's why I'm going to let him go. We drive through the rain toward the mining complex. Every mile feels like a countdown. Tom is focused on the road, talking about how we'll handle the rescue. He has no idea he's driving to his own death. When we get there, I can see the school bus stop by the side of the road. The children are still inside, safe for now. But underneath the ground, I know the old mine tunnels are cracking, getting ready to collapse. Tom parks our truck and jumps out. I'll check on the bus, he calls back to me. You call for more backup. I watch him run toward the bus through the rain. This brave, good man who has never hurt anyone in his life, who would give anything to save those children. At 11:45, I see the creature again. It appears in the shadows between the trees, watching me with those sad red eyes. It doesn't speak, but I hear its voice in my head anyway. It's time, Elizabeth. I look at my watch. 11:46. Tom is at the bus now, talking to the driver. The children inside are pressing their faces against the windows, scared but safe. For now. I could run to him. I could scream for him to get away from there. I could save, he breaks his leg. The night before. I know where he jogs. I know when he'll trip over the loose brick that I'll place in his path. One broken leg to save 15 lives? It's an easy choice, isn't it? But they're all easy choices when you see them from the outside. When you're the one who has to do it, when you have to look at Mr. Jenkins' kind face and know you're about to hurt him to save children he'll never meet. It's not easy at all, but I'll do it. Just like I let Tom die. Just like I'll make 1,000 other terrible choices in the years to come. Because the creature was right about one thing. I am the prophet now. I see the disasters before they happen, and I choose who lives and who dies. The weight of all those futures, all those deaths, all those impossible choices, it never gets lighter. It only gets heavier with each passing day. Sometimes I wonder if this is how God feels, knowing everything that will happen, having to choose who to save and who to sacrifice. If it is, then I understand now why God seems so far away sometimes. The burden of seeing everything, of knowing everything, of having to make choices that no one should ever have to make. It changes you, it breaks you, and then it rebuilds you into something that isn't quite human anymore. I am Elizabeth Hart. I was a forest ranger. I was a woman who loved a good man named Tom Bradley. Now I am the prophet. I see disasters before they happen. I make the choices that save the many and sacrifice the few, and somewhere in the darkness above, with wings spread wide against the storm clouds, the creature watches and waits for the next impossible choice I'll have to make. The burden is mine now, and I'll carry it until the day I die, even if that day never comes. My name is Joseph Running Bear, but everyone calls me Joe. I'm a park ranger here in the Coconino National Forest in Arizona, and I need to tell you about something that happened to me, something that changed everything I thought I knew about. The world. The desert can be beautiful, but it can also be scary. That evening, the sun was going down, painting all the red rocks the color of blood. Long shadows stretched across the sand like dark fingers reaching for something. The wind made the sage bushes smell like the incense my grandmother used to burn when she prayed for dead people. I was 36 years old then, and I thought I'd seen everything. I was a Marine before I became a ranger. I fought in the Gulf War and came back thinking nothing could scare me anymore. But I was wrong, dead wrong. You see, I'm half Navajo. My grandfather used to tell me old stories when I was little, stories about things that lived in the desert, things that could change their shape, things that used to be people but became something else. Something hungry. I always thought they were just stories to keep kids from wandering off into the desert alone. My grandfather would look at me with his serious eyes and say, "Joey, these stories aren't for fun. They're warnings. Promise me you'll never believe. They're just stories." But I was young and stupid. I promised, but I didn't really mean it. The worst part is, I had a little sister named Anna. She was everything good in the world. She had long black hair like mine, but hers always smelled like flowers. She used to laugh at grandfather's stories. "Joey," she'd say, "you don't really believe that old stuff, do you?" And I'd laugh with her because her laugh was like music. Ina disappeared 3 months before this story really begins. One day, she was there, making breakfast and humming songs. The next day, her bed was empty. We found her tracks leading into the desert. Human footprints going out, but coming back. Coming back, the tracks were different, bigger, with claws. The police said she probably got lost and died out there. Animals must have scattered her remains, they said. But I knew better. I knew because I found her favorite dress hanging on a cactus 20 miles from where her human tracks ended. The dress wasn't torn by thorns. It was taken off carefully, like she didn't need it anymore. I carry my grandmother's old medicine bag now. Not because I think it protects me. I carry it because it has Anna's baby teeth inside and a lock of her hair from when she was 5. Sometimes, when the wind is just right, I swear I can smell her flower shampoo. That's why I was out in the desert that night, 3 months later. Still looking, still hoping, still afraid of what I might find. The stars were coming out, making patterns in the sky. In the distance, coyotes started howling. But these howls were different. They sounded almost like singing, like the death songs my people used to sing for loved ones who were gone. And that's when I saw her walking toward me across the sand, a woman I'd never met before, but who looked so much like Anna that my heart almost stopped beating. Her name was Maria Santos. She was 27, new to our ranger station, transferred from California. She had the same dark hair as Anna, the same way of tilting her head when she listened, but her eyes were different, sadder somehow. "You must be Joe," she said, walking up to me in the growing darkness. "I heard you come out here a lot. Thought, maybe you could use some company. I wanted to tell her to go home. The desert at night wasn't safe, especially not lately, but there was something about her voice that reminded me of home, of family dinners and Anna's laughter. "You shouldn't be out here alone," I told her. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Neither should you." We walked together for a while, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. I tried not to notice how much she looked like Anna from behind. Same height, same way of walking. It made my chest tight with grief. "I heard about your sister," Maria said quietly. "I'm sorry." I nodded, not trusting my voice. We kept walking, the sand soft under our boots. That's when I noticed something strange. Maria's footprints in the flashlight beam looked normal, but when I glanced back at where we'd walked, some of the prints looked different, bigger. I told myself it was just shadows playing tricks. Desert nights could make you see things that weren't there. "Do you believe in ghosts, Joe?" Maria asked suddenly. The question made me stop walking. "Why do you ask?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I've been having dreams since I got here. Dreams about a girl with long black hair. She's trying to tell me something, but I can't understand what." My blood went cold. "What does she look like?" "Pretty. Young. She's always wearing a blue dress, and she smells like flowers." Maria turned to look at me. "Does that sound like your sister?" I couldn't speak. Anna's favorite dress was blue, and she always smelled like flowers. "In the dreams," Maria continued, "she's not alone. There's something else with her, something that watches from the shadows. And lately, I wake up with sand in my bed, even though I keep my windows closed." The wind picked up, carrying a scent that made my heart race. Flowers, Anna's shampoo. But that was impossible. Maria was standing right next to me, and she smelled like soap and coffee, not flowers. "We should head back," I said, my voice shaky. But when I turned around, I realized something terrifying. We'd been walking for over an hour, but I couldn't see the lights from the ranger station anywhere. The desert stretched out in all directions, empty and dark. "Maria," I said carefully, "which way did we come from?" She looked around, and for just a second, her eyes reflected the flashlight beam like an animal's. I don't remember." That's when we heard it, a howl in the distance, but it wasn't a coyote. It sounded almost human, almost like someone calling a name. "Anna," the voice seemed to say. "Anna, come home." Maria froze when she heard the howl. Her whole body went stiff like a deer that just spotted a wolf. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. I nodded, my hand moving to the radio on my belt. But when I tried to call for help, all I got was static. Then, through the noise, I heard something that made my blood turn to ice. Anna's voice, singing one of the old songs our grandmother taught us. But the words were wrong. They were in a language that sounded older than Navajo, older than anything human. "We need to find our way back," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But Maria wasn't listening. She was staring at something on the ground. When I shined my flashlight down, I saw footprints in the sand. Fresh ones. They started out looking like Maria's boots. Same size, same pattern. But as they went forward, they changed. The boot prints became bare feet. Then the bare feet became something else. Something with long toes and claws. "Maria," I said slowly, "are these your prints?" She looked down at her own feet, then at the tracks. Her face went white. I don't remember making those." I knelt down to get a closer look. The changing, Footprints were impossible, but they were right there in front of me, and they were leading toward a place my grandfather had always told me never to go, a circle of red rocks where the old people said bad things happened. "Have you been sleepwalking?" I asked Maria. She shook her head, but I noticed her hands were shaking. "I don't think so, but sometimes I wake up tired like I've been walking all night, and my feet are always dirty." The howl came again, closer this time, and with it came a smell that made me want to throw up. It was sweet and wrong, like flowers left too long in the sun, like Anna's perfume mixed with something dead. "Joe," Maria said, her voice getting smaller. "I think something's been using my body while I sleep." Before I could answer, we found something else. Pieces of meat scattered in the sand, arranged in a pattern I recognized from the old stories. It was how hunters used to leave food for the spirits, but this wasn't deer or rabbit meat. This was something bigger. Maria walked toward the meat like she was in a trance. I grabbed her arm to stop her, and that's when I felt it. Her skin was burning hot, like she had a fever, but she wasn't sweating. "Don't touch it," I warned. But she was already kneeling down, sniffing the air like an animal. "It smells good," she said in a voice that didn't sound like hers. "It smells like home." I pulled her away from the meat, but she fought me. For a second, she was stronger than any woman should be, strong enough to almost break my grip. "Maria, look at me," I said, shaking her gently. She blinked and seemed to come back to herself. "What happened? Why are we—" She looked around, confused. "Joe, I was just standing next to you a second. Hey, go. How did I get over here?" That's when I noticed something that made my heart stop. Scratched into the rock next to the meat were words. They looked like they'd been carved with claws, and they said, "Help me," in English. But underneath, in the old writing my grandmother taught me, it said something else. "Feed me." The handwriting looked like Anna's. "We're leaving." "Now," I said, grabbing Maria's hand, but as we turned to go, the howling started again. This time it wasn't just one voice. It was many voices, all calling the same name. "Anna, Anna, come home to us." And the worst part was, Maria started walking toward the sound, not like she wanted to, but like something was pulling her, like she had no choice. "I have to go," she said, her eyes looking far away. "They're calling me home." "Your name isn't Anna," I told her, holding her back. She looked at me with eyes that reflected yellow in the darkness. "Isn't it?" I backed away from Maria, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Those yellow eyes weren't human. They were the eyes of something that hunted in the dark. "Maria, listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "You're Maria Santos. You're from California. You just started working at the ranger station last month." She tilted her head like a confused dog. "Am I? Sometimes I remember growing up here. I remember a brother named Joey who used to braid my hair. I remember grandmother's stories about things that changed their skin." My hands started shaking. Those were Anna's memories, but Maria was standing right in front of me, solid and real. "I remember being afraid," she continued, her voice getting softer, "afraid of something following me in the desert. And then I wasn't afraid anymore. I was hungry. The wind stopped blowing. Everything went silent, like the whole desert was holding its breath. Even the insects stopped making noise." "Maria," I whispered, "where do you think Anna went?" She smiled, but it wasn't Maria's smile. It was Anna's smile, the one she used to give me when she knew something I didn't. "Anna didn't go anywhere, Joey. She's right here." That's when I saw her, my sister Anna, standing about 20 feet away, wearing the blue dress I'd found on the cactus. But something was wrong with her. Her skin looked loose, like it didn't quite fit. And when she moved, it made a sound like leather rubbing together. "Hi, Joey," Anna said in her sweet voice. "I missed you." I wanted to run to her, to hug her, to tell her how sorry I was for not finding her sooner, but my feet wouldn't move. Because even though she looked like Anna, even though she sounded like Anna, I knew she wasn't my sister anymore. "What happened to you?" I asked. Anna's face got sad. "I got lost, Joey. Lost and hungry and scared. And then something found me. Something old that lives in the spaces between things. It taught me how to wear new skins. How to be more than just one person." She pointed at Maria, who was standing perfectly still, staring at nothing. "Maria's skin fits so well," Anna said. "She's lonely like I was. She misses her family like I missed ours. It's easy to share her body, easy to share her memories." "Give her back," I said. Anna laughed, but it sounded like wind through broken glass. "Joey, don't you understand? Maria wants this. Deep down, she wants to belong somewhere. She wants to have a family again. I'm giving her that." I looked at Maria. Her eyes were closed now, and she was swaying back and forth like she was listening to music only she could hear. "She's dreaming our memories, Joey. All the good times we had. Christmas mornings and summer nights and grandmothers. Stories. She's dreaming about being loved. But they're not her memories," I said. "Does that matter?" Anna asked, stepping closer. "Memory is just a story we tell ourselves. And Maria likes our story better than her own." I could smell that sweet, wrong scent getting stronger. Anna was close enough now that I could see her skin moving independently, like there were things crawling underneath it. "I can give you the same gift, Joey," she said. "We could all be family again, all be together. You'd never have to miss me because I'd always be right there with you." For a moment it sounded tempting to never be alone again, to have Anna back, even if she wasn't exactly Anna anymore. But then I remembered my grandfather's words. "Some stories aren't for fun, Joey. They're warnings." "No," I said, reaching for the medicine bag around my neck. "That's not you, Anna. My sister would never hurt anyone." The thing wearing Anna's face snarled, and for just a second I saw what it really was underneath. Something ancient and hungry, made of shadow and appetite. "Then you choose her over me," it hissed. I looked at Maria, still swaying in her trance, and realized I had to make an impossible choice. Save Maria's soul, or hold on to what was left of my sister. I pulled the medicine bag from around my neck with shaking hands. Inside was the sage my grandmother had blessed, along with Anna's baby teeth and lock of hair. The old woman had always said sage could protect you from evil spirits, but I'd never believed it until now. "Anna, please," I said, striking a match. "This isn't what grandmother would want for you." The thing wearing my sister's face hissed as the sage began to smoke. "Grandmother's dead, Joey. Her old ways can't help you now." But as the smoke spread, something changed. Maria stopped swaying and opened her eyes. For a moment they were her own brown eyes instead of that terrible yellow. "Joe," she whispered, "what's happening to me? I keep having dreams that aren't mine." "Fight it, Maria," I said, holding the burning sage between her and Anna. "Those aren't your memories. Hold on to who you really are." Anna's form started to flicker, like a TV with bad reception. Sometimes she looked like my sister. Sometimes she looked like something else entirely, something with too many teeth. "You don't understand, Joey," Anna said, her voice crackling like old paper. "I'm not the monster here. I'm just lonely. We're all just lonely." "Then come home," I said, tears running down my face. "Come back to the reservation. We'll figure this out together." Anna's face softened for a moment, and she looked like my real sister again. "I want to, Joey, but I don't know how to be just one person anymore. It's been so long since I was only Anna." The smoke from the sage was getting thicker, and I could see it was hurting her. Her skin was starting to peel away in strips, like old paint. "I'm scared," she whispered. "If I let go of Maria, I might disappear completely." "Maybe that's okay," I said gently. "Maybe it's time to rest." "No!" Anna screamed, and suddenly she wasn't flickering anymore. She was solid and angry and desperate. "I won't be alone again." She lunged at Maria, trying to sink back into her body, but the sage smoke formed a barrier between them. Anna hit it and bounced back like she'd run into a wall. Maria was fully awake now, backing away from Anna with terror in her eyes. "Joe, what is that thing?" "It's my sister," I said, "or what's left of her." Anna was getting weaker. The sage was burning her away, bit by bit. Soon there would be nothing left of her at all. "Please, Joey," Anna begged. "Don't let me go. I'm all that's left of our family." It would have been so easy to put out the sage, to let Anna take Maria completely. At least then I'd still have some version of my sister, even if she was changed. But I looked at Maria, really looked at her. She was young and scared and far from home, just like Anna had been. She deserved to live her own life, not be a puppet for my dead sister's memories. "I love you, Anna," I said, "but I have to let you go." I threw more sage onto the fire. The smoke got so thick I could barely see. Anna's screams filled the air, but they were getting fainter. "Take care of yourself, Joey," Anna's voice whispered as she faded away. "And take care of her too. She's going to need someone who understands." When the smoke cleared, Anna was gone. But Maria was still there, solid and real and herself. "Is it over?" she asked. I nodded, but I knew it wasn't completely true. Maria was changed now. I could see it in her eyes. They were still brown, but they held memories that weren't hers. Anna's memories. "I remember things," Maria said quietly. "Things from when I was little, but they're not my memories. I remember a brother who taught me to braid my hair. I remember songs in a language I don't speak." "Those are Anna's memories," I told her. "You'll probably always have some of them. Now, will I be okay?" I looked at this woman who was part stranger, part sister, part something new entirely. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I'll help you figure it out." 6 weeks later, Maria and I were living on the reservation. She was learning Navajo and helping me with traditional ceremonies to keep the hunger at bay. Because that was the thing about being touched by a skinwalker. You never quite forgot what it felt like to want to wear someone else's skin. But Maria was strong. She used Anna's memories to help find missing people, and I used grandfather's teachings to keep her human. Every full moon, she'd have dreams where she spoke in Anna's voice, but come morning, she was always Maria again. Sometimes I missed Anna so much, it felt like dying, but I'd saved someone else's sister, and that had to count for something. Maria and I became a team, unofficial investigators for the strange things that happened in the desert. She had the supernatural senses now, and I had the traditional knowledge to keep them under control. The desert was still dangerous. There were still things out there that wore familiar faces and called you by name. But we were ready for them, now. And late at night, when the wind was just right, I swear I could still smell Anna's flower shampoo on the breeze. Not calling me to follow, but just letting me know she was finally at peace. My name is Joseph Running Bear, but everyone calls me Joe. I'm a park ranger here in the Coconino National Forest in Arizona, and I've seen things that would make most people run screaming back to the city. The desert has always been my home. My grandfather used to tell me stories about this place, stories about things that hunt in the darkness, things that can wear your face better than you can. I used to laugh at those old tales. I don't laugh anymore. It was getting dark when I first met Maria Santos. The sun was setting behind the red rocks, painting everything the color of blood. She stepped out of her government truck, looking nervous and out of place in her crisp new ranger uniform. "You must be Joe," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Maria, just transferred here from California." I shook her hand and felt something cold run down my spine. She looked so much like my sister Anna that for a second I forgot how to breathe. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same smile that could light up a room. Anna had been missing for 3 months now. "Welcome to the desert," I managed to say. "It's different out here than California." Things happen here that don't happen anywhere else. Maria laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Yeah, I've heard the stories. Desert madness, right? People seeing things that aren't there? I didn't answer. The coyotes were starting to howl in the distance, and their voices sounded wrong. Tonight, they sounded like they were singing a funeral song. We should head back to the station, I said. Desert gets dangerous after dark. As we walked toward our trucks, I noticed something that made my blood freeze. There in the sand, clear as day, were two sets of footprints. One set was from Maria's boots. I could see the treads perfectly. But the other set were bare feet, human feet that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. Feet that looked exactly like the last tracks my sister Anna had left before she disappeared into the desert 3 months ago. Maria was already getting into her truck, humming a song I'd never heard before, but somehow I knew that tune. It was the same melody Anna used to hum when she was happy. The temperature dropped 30 degrees in 10 seconds. The wind stopped blowing. Even the coyotes went quiet. Something was very, very wrong. "Maria," I called out, but she didn't seem to hear me. She was staring off into the desert with an expression I'd seen before, on Anna's face, the night before she vanished. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be just another quiet night in the desert. This was going to be the night I learned what really happened to my sister, and maybe the night I lost someone else I cared about. I followed Maria back to the ranger station, but my hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Those footprints kept flashing in my mind. Anna's footprints. But how could that be? The station was quiet when we got there. Just me and Maria and the sound of the old coffee maker gurgling in the corner. I watched her fill out her paperwork, and everything seemed normal. But normal was starting to feel dangerous. "Tell me about this place," Maria said, not looking up from her forms. What should I know? I thought about my grandfather's warnings, about Anna, about the stories people don't like to tell. "People go missing here sometimes," I said carefully. "The desert is big, easy to get lost." "Like your sister?" I almost dropped my coffee cup. "How did you know about Anna?" Maria looked up then, and for just a second her eyes seemed different, older, sadder. I read the reports. Anna Running Bear disappeared 3 months ago. They never found her body. She was right, but hearing it said out loud made my chest tight. Yeah, she just walked out into the desert one night, left her car by the road. We found her tracks leading into the rocks, but they just stopped. Stopped how? I didn't want to answer that. The truth was too strange. Anna's footprints had changed in the sand, from human feet to something else, something with claws. The search team thought animals had disturbed the tracks, but I knew better. "They just stopped," I repeated. Maria nodded like she understood, but there was something in her eyes that made me nervous, like she knew more than she was letting. And that's when the radio crackled to life. "Base, this is Officer Martinez. We've got another missing person report. Young woman disappeared near Devil's Canyon. Left her car running, door open, no signs of struggle." My blood went cold. Devil's Canyon was where we'd lost Anna's trail. "We'll check it out," I said into the radio, trying to keep my voice steady. Maria was already grabbing her flashlight and jacket. "Ready when you are, partner." But as we headed for the door, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. There on the floor where Maria had been sitting were wet footprints, not from her boots, bare feet, and they were slowly drying up, disappearing like they were never. There, I looked at Maria's feet. Her boots were completely dry. Outside, the coyotes started howling again, but this time I could swear I heard a human voice mixed in with theirs. A voice that sounded like Anna, calling my name from somewhere far away in the darkness. The drive to Devil's Canyon took 20 minutes, but it felt like hours. Maria sat quietly in the passenger seat, staring out at the desert. Every now and then, I caught her moving her lips like she was talking to someone, but no sound came out. "You okay?" I asked. She turned to me with a strange smile. Just thinking about my sister back home. Haven't talked to her in a while. Something about the way she said it made my skin crawl. But before I could ask more questions, we reached the abandoned car. It was a red Honda, sitting on the side of the road with the driver's door wide open. The headlights were still on, making long white lines in the darkness. The engine was running. Sarah Chen, 24 years old, I read from the missing person report. Last seen leaving work at 6 p.m. Her boyfriend called it in when she didn't come home. We got out and looked around with our flashlights. Right away I saw them, footprints in the sand leading away from the car. Small feet, like a woman's, but as we followed them with our lights, something was wrong. "Joe," Maria said quietly, "look at this." She was shining her light on the tracks about 10 feet from the car. The footprints were changing. They started normal, like sneakers, but then they got wider, longer, and then they weren't human feet at all. "Animal tracks," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Maybe a coyote walked over them. But I knew that wasn't true. I'd seen tracks like this before, 3 months ago when Anna disappeared. We followed the trail deeper into the desert. The beam of my flashlight kept jumping around because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Behind me, Maria was humming that same tune from earlier, the one that sounded like Anna's favorite song. "Maria, can you stop humming?" I asked. She looked confused. I wasn't humming, but I could still hear it. The melody was coming from somewhere else now, somewhere in the darkness ahead of us. That's when we found the blood. It wasn't much, just a few drops on a rock, but it was fresh, still wet. "We should call for backup," Maria said, but her voice sounded different now, deeper, like she had a cold. I reached for my radio, but it was dead, just static. "Mine too," Maria said, looking at her own radio. But I hadn't said anything about mine being broken. The humming was getting louder now, and closer. It was definitely Anna's voice, singing the lullaby our grandmother used to sing to us when we were kids. "Joe," Maria whispered, grabbing my arm, "there's something you should know." I turned to look at her, and in the flashlight beam, her face looked different. Her eyes were yellow, bright yellow, like an animal's eyes in the dark. "What should I know?" I asked, my voice barely working. She smiled and her teeth looked too sharp. "I've been having dreams about your sister, every night since I got here. Dreams where she tells me things about this place, about what lives here." The humming stopped suddenly. Everything went quiet, even the wind. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, I heard Anna's voice, clear as day. "Joey," she called. "Joey, I'm so hungry. I've been waiting for you to bring me a friend." I grabbed Maria's hand and started backing toward the car. Her skin felt cold and strange, like touching raw meat. "We need to get out of here," I whispered. But Maria wasn't moving. She was staring into the darkness where Anna's voice had come from. Her yellow eyes were getting brighter. "She's been calling to me," Maria said softly. "Every night in my dreams. She shows me things, how to hunt, how to change. Maria, listen to me, that's not Anna. Anna is gone." She turned her head toward me, and I could see her face was changing. Her jaw was longer. Her teeth were definitely sharper now. "But she's not gone, Joe. She's right there." Maria pointed into the darkness. "Can't you see her?" I looked where she was pointing, and my heart stopped. There was something moving between the rocks, something that looked like Anna, but wrong. She was wearing the same clothes she'd disappeared in, but they were torn and dirty, and she was moving on all fours, like an animal. "Anna?" I called out. The thing that looked like my sister stood up slowly. When she turned toward us, I could see her face in the moonlight. It was Anna, but her eyes were yellow too, just like Maria's. "Joey," Anna said, and her voice sounded normal, like nothing had happened. "I've missed you so much." She started walking toward us, and I could see she was limping. There was something wrong with her legs. They bent the wrong way, like they were broken and healed wrong. "Anna, what happened to you?" I asked. She smiled, and I wished she hadn't. Her mouth was full of teeth that belonged to an animal, not a person. "I got lost in the desert," she said, "but I found something that was hungry, just like me. It taught me how to be stronger, how to never be hungry again." Maria let go of my hand and started walking toward Anna. "I've been waiting for you," she said. "I know," Anna replied. "I could smell you coming from miles away. You smell like family." I finally understood what was happening. Anna hadn't died in the desert. She'd become something else, something that needed to feed. And now she wanted Maria to become like her. "Maria, don't," I said, but my voice came out weak and scared. Anna was getting closer. In the moonlight, I could see that her skin looked loose, like it didn't fit right, like she was wearing someone else's body. "The girl you're looking for," Anna said to me, "Sarah Chen. She tasted like fear and sadness, not very filling." My stomach turned. "You killed her." "I fed," Anna corrected, "and now I need to feed again. But this time, I want family dinner." She looked at Maria with those terrible yellow eyes. "Come here, sister. Let me show you how good it feels to never be weak again." Maria took another step toward Anna, and I knew I was about to lose them both, just like I'd lost my real sister 3 months ago. That's when I remembered what my grandfather always kept in his truck, the small leather bag he'd given me before he died. The one he said would protect me from things that weren't supposed to exist. I reached into my pocket and felt the soft leather. Inside was sage, blessed by our grandmother, salt from the sacred lake, and something else. A piece of silver blessed by the medicine man. "Anna," I said, pulling out the bag, "if there's any part of my real sister left in there, please don't do this." She stopped walking and tilted her head like a confused dog. "Your real sister is right here, Joey. I'm just better now." I opened the medicine bag with shaking hands and pulled out the sage. It was dry and old, but when I held it up, Anna stopped, moving toward us. "That won't work on me anymore," she said, but I could hear fear in her voice for the first time. "Maybe not," I said, "but I have to try." I lit the sage with my lighter. The smoke smelled like home, like safety, like all the prayers my grandmother had taught me when I was little. Anna hissed and stepped back. Her face was changing again, becoming more animal than human. "Maria," I called without taking my eyes off Anna. "Come back to me. Don't let her take you." But when I looked over, Maria was on her hands and knees in the sand. Her back was arching and her spine was making horrible cracking sounds. "It hurts," Maria cried. "Joe, help me. Something's wrong with me." Anna laughed, and it sounded like a coyote barking. "Nothing's wrong. You're just becoming what you were meant to be." I held the burning sage higher. The smoke was getting thicker, creating a circle around me. Anna couldn't come closer, but she wasn't backing away either. "There's still a choice," I said to both of them. "Anna, I know you're still in there somewhere. You called me Joey. Only my real sister calls me that." For just a second, Anna's face looked normal again, human, sad. "Joey," she whispered, "I'm so tired. I've been hungry for so long, and nothing makes it stop." "Then let me help you stop," I said. I pulled out the piece of blessed silver from the medicine bag. It was small, just a coin our grandmother had given me. But when Anna saw it, she screamed. Not a human scream, something wild and desperate. "You don't understand," Anna said, and now she was crying, real tears. "If I die, she dies too," she pointed at Maria. "We're connected now. I can't let go without taking her with me." Maria looked up at me from the sand. Half her face looked normal, but the other half was stretched and wrong. "Joe," she said in her own voice, "I can see her memories, Anna's memories. She doesn't want to hurt anyone anymore." "Then why doesn't she stop?" I asked. "Because she can't," Maria said. The hunger is too strong. It's like being trapped in your own body while something else controls you. I looked at the silver coin in my hand. If I used it, I could force the creature out of Anna. But Maria was right. They were connected now. I might lose them both. But if I didn't do anything, they would both become monsters. And other people would die. Anna, I said, if you can hear me, I need you to fight. Fight long enough for me to break the connection. Anna nodded, just barely. Then she started screaming again as she fought against whatever was inside her. I threw the sage at her feet and pressed the silver coin against my chest. Grandmother, I prayed, help me save them both. The smoke from the sage got so thick, I couldn't see anything. I could hear Anna screaming and Maria crying and the sound of something tearing, like fabric ripping. When the smoke cleared, Anna was lying on the ground, not moving. Her body looked normal again, human. Maria was sitting, up breathing hard, but her face was back to normal too. Is it over? Maria asked. I knelt down next to Anna and felt for a pulse. Nothing. But then she opened her eyes. They were brown again. Normal. Joey? She whispered. Is that really you? I helped Anna sit up slowly. She felt so light, like she hadn't eaten in months, which I realized she probably hadn't. Not real food anyway. I thought I lost you, I said, trying not to cry. You almost did, Anna said. Her voice was weak, but it sounded like her again. I'm sorry, Joey. I couldn't control it. The hunger was too strong. Maria crawled over to us. She looked exhausted, but human. What happened to us? She asked. You were connected, I explained. When Anna became what she became, it created a link, like you were sharing the same curse. Anna nodded slowly. I could feel her dreams, her memories. That's how I knew she was coming here. But it's over now, Maria asked. I looked at both of them. Anna's eyes were normal brown, not yellow. Maria's face was back to its regular shape, but something felt unfinished. I think so, I said. But we need to get you both to a doctor. And we need to find Sarah Chen. Anna's face went pale. She's about a mile north of here. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop myself. We found Sarah's body exactly where Anna said it would be. It wasn't pretty, but at least her family would have closure. The official report said Sarah Chen died from animal attack, probably coyotes. Nobody questioned it. Nobody wanted to think about other possibilities. That was 6 weeks ago. Now Anna and Maria live with me on the reservation. Anna is getting stronger every day, eating real food and sleeping without nightmares. Maria decided to stay instead of going back to California. She says she feels safer here, surrounded by the old traditions and protections. But there are still signs that things aren't completely normal. Maria has dreams sometimes, dreams where she remembers being something else. And Anna gets nervous around the full moon, like she can still feel the hunger trying to come back. I teach them both the old ways, the prayers and ceremonies our grandmother taught me, the things that keep the darkness away. Sometimes at night, I catch them both staring out at the desert with the same expression, like they're listening for something calling to them from the darkness. Last week, we got a call about another missing person, a young man who disappeared near Devil's Canyon. When we got there, we found tracks, human tracks that changed into something else. But this time, Maria could smell where the trail led, and Anna could hear the creature's thoughts. We found the missing man alive, scared and lost, but alive. We make a good team, Maria said afterward. Like family, Anna agreed. I looked at my 2 sisters, one by blood, one by choice, and realized that maybe some things happen for a reason. Maybe the darkness took Anna so she could come back and help fight it. The desert is still dangerous. There are still things out there that hunt in the night, but now we hunt them back. And every morning when the sun comes up, I thank my grandmother for teaching me that even the worst curses can be broken by love and family, even if that family looks a little different than you expected. My name is Elizabeth Hart. but everyone calls me Liz. I'm a ranger here in Wayne National Forest, Ohio, and I need to tell you something that happened to me 3 years ago, something that changed everything. It was October 15th, 1987. The kind of day that makes your skin crawl even when you don't know why. I was walking through the forest with my partner Tom Bradley, checking on some damaged power lines after last week's storm. But this wasn't any normal day in the woods. The mist was rising from the valleys like smoke from a fire, thick and grey. But it wasn't just regular mist. As I walked through it, I could hear things. Voices, screaming, people calling for help who weren't there. The sounds came from everywhere and nowhere, like they were trapped inside the fog itself. Above us, birds were flying in weird patterns. Not the normal V-shape you see when they head south for winter. These birds were spelling out letters in the sky. I couldn't read what they were trying to say, but looking at them made my stomach feel sick, like they were writing about death. Every step we took made the leaves crunch under our boots, but it wasn't the normal sound of autumn leaves. It sounded like glass breaking, like every step was destroying something important, something that could never be fixed. The wind started picking up, and that's when things got really strange. It was carrying pieces of paper, newspaper pages that looked fresh and new. I tried to grab one, but when I touched it, it turned to dust. For just a second, I saw words on it. Headlines about accidents, about people dying, about things that hadn't happened yet. I noticed the squirrels acting weird too. They were collecting nuts, but not randomly like they usually do. They were making patterns on the ground, circles and lines that looked like maps of roads and intersections. It didn't make sense, but something about those patterns scared me. The sunlight coming through the trees hurt to look at. Not bright hurt, but wrong hurt, like it was showing me things I wasn't supposed to see. Shadows on the ground that looked like crosses, like the kind you see in graveyards. Then the forest went quiet, completely quiet. No birds singing, no insects buzzing, no wind in the leaves. Even Tom stopped talking. It was the kind of quiet that makes you want to run, but your feet won't move. That's when I saw the scratches on the trees. Deep claw marks that weren't there yesterday. They weren't random either. They looked like numbers, like times and dates scratched into the bark by something with very sharp claws. The temperature started dropping fast, not all at once, but in waves. Cold, then warm, then cold again. Each time it got cold, I felt like someone had just died, like the forest was mourning people who were still alive. Then the fog got thicker. It was rolling in from directions that shouldn't exist. North, south, east, west. I knew all those. But this fog was coming from somewhere else. Somewhere that isn't on any map. And inside that fog, I could hear the screaming getting louder. That's when I knew we were in trouble. Big trouble. The kind that changes your whole life forever. Tom was standing next to me, but he looked scared. His face was white, and his hands were shaking. "Liz," he whispered, "something's watching us." He was right. I could feel eyes on us. Big eyes. Eyes that could see things we couldn't. Things that were going to happen. Things that were going to hurt. I wanted to tell Tom we should leave, run back to the truck and get out of there. But deep down, I knew it was too late. Whatever was in that forest had already found us, and it had something very important to show us. Something about the future. Something about death. Something about choices that would break my heart forever. I should tell you about myself, about why I'm here in this forest, and why I can see things other people can't. I wasn't always a forest ranger. Before this job, I was in the Air Force. I fixed helicopters. I was good at it too. Really good. I loved working with my hands, fixing things that were broken, making sure pilots got home safe to their families. But 2 years ago, something happened that changed everything. I started having dreams, not regular dreams. These were different. They felt real, more real than being awake. In these dreams, I saw a helicopter crash. The same crash over and over every single night. In the dream, I was standing in a field. The helicopter was flying low, heading towards some trees. I could see the pilot's face through the window. He looked scared. The engine was making a weird sound, a sound I knew meant trouble. Then the helicopter would hit the trees and catch fire. 5 people inside, all of them screaming, all of them dying, and I was just standing there watching, unable to help. I had this dream for 2 weeks straight, every night. I told my supervisor about it. I told him exactly what I saw, the pilot's name, the location, even the time it would happen. 3:47 in the afternoon. He didn't believe me. Nobody did. They said I was stressed, that I needed to take some time off. Dreams don't predict the future, Hart, they said. Get some rest. But I knew it was real. I could taste the smoke from the crash. I could hear the screaming. I could smell the burning fuel. Dreams don't smell like that. 2 weeks later, it happened. Exactly like I saw it. Same pilot, same place, same time. 3:47 p.m., 5 people died, and I couldn't save them because nobody believed me. That's when I left the Air Force. I couldn't fix helicopters anymore. Every time I touched one, I saw it crashing. Every time I heard an engine, I heard people dying. So I became a forest ranger. I thought maybe out here, in the quiet woods, the dreams would stop. But they didn't. They got worse. Now I see all kinds of things before they happen. Car accidents, people getting lost, storms that will knock down trees. I try to help when I can, but it's hard when people think you're crazy. Tom Bradley is my partner here. He's 24, 6 years younger than me. He's got brown hair and green eyes, and he always tries to make me laugh when I get too serious. He doesn't know about my dreams. I've never told him, but lately something's been wrong. I've been having dreams about Tom. Bad dreams. In these dreams he's hurt. Really hurt. And it's always my fault somehow. I've seen him die 17 different ways now. 17 different ways. And in every single one, I'm the reason it happens. The worst part is, I can taste something metallic when I look at him now. Like pennies in my mouth. Like blood. His blood. And it's getting stronger every day. I keep Riley's wrench with me everywhere I go. Sergeant Riley died in that helicopter crash 2 years ago. I couldn't save him, but I kept his wrench. It's heavy in my pocket. Sometimes I think I'll need it for something important, something terrible. The dreams are getting clearer now, more detailed. I can see faces of people I've never met. I know their names before they tell me. I know when they're going to die, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Yesterday, I heard children screaming, but there were no children around. The sound was coming from somewhere else, somewhere in the future. A school bus full of kids, and they're all going to die unless something else happens first. Tom doesn't understand why I've been acting strange lately, why I keep staring at him like I'm trying to memorize his face, why I flinch every time he says my name. "You okay, Liz?" he asks me sometimes. "You look like you've seen a ghost." If only he knew. I haven't seen a ghost. I've seen his future, and it's coming fast. That morning in the forest, the weird things started happening right away. Tom pointed up at the sky. "Look at that," he said. I looked up, but I didn't see anything, just gray clouds and empty air. But Tom kept staring at the same spot, like something was there, something big. "What are you looking at?" I asked him. I don't know," he said slowly. "I thought I saw something, wings maybe, but now there's nothing." That scared me. Tom doesn't usually see things that aren't there, but I could feel it too, something watching us from above, something that wasn't quite there yet, but would be soon. We kept walking toward the power lines. That's when I saw the prints in the mud. They were huge, bigger than any bird I'd ever seen. The shape was wrong, too, like someone had pressed giant hands with long fingers into the soft ground. But the fingers ended in sharp points, claws. "Tom, look at this!" I called him over. He knelt down next to the prints. "What kind of animal makes tracks like these?" I didn't know, but looking at them made my stomach hurt. They looked fresh, like whatever made them had been here just minutes before we arrived. The smell hit us next. It was sharp and bitter, like when electrical wires burn. But there was no fire anywhere, no smoke, just that awful smell getting stronger. My radio started making noise, static at first, then voices, but not the usual. Ranger station voices. These were different. Scared voices, people calling for help. "Bus accident on Route 9, a voice said through the static. "Multiple casualties, children trapped." I grabbed the radio. "Hello? This is Ranger Hart. What's your location?" But the voice was gone. Just static again. Tom looked at me funny. "There's no Route 9 around here, Liz," he said. And I didn't hear anything on the radio. That's when I knew the radio was picking up things that hadn't happened yet. The accident I'd been dreaming about. The school bus full of children. It was coming. We reached the power lines and they were cut. Not broken by the storm like we thought. Cut. Clean cuts like someone had used giant scissors. The metal ends were twisted into shapes, numbers, times, dates. 11:47. That number was scratched into 3 different power lines. 11:47. It felt important, dangerous. Then we heard the sound, a scream that made both of us freeze. It was loud and high-pitched, like an animal in pain. But it didn't sound like any animal I knew. It sounded smart, like it was trying to tell us something. "Where did that come from?" Tom whispered. The sound had come from everywhere and nowhere, from the trees around us, but also from somewhere, far away, somewhere in the future. That's when I saw the dead birds, dozens of them scattered on the ground under the power lines. They looked perfect, no injuries, no blood, like they had just fallen asleep and never woke up. I knelt down and touched one. It was still warm, but its little heart wasn't beating. It was like something had scared it to death. The fog was getting thicker now, so thick I could barely see Tom, even though he was right next to me. But through the fog, I could see other things, things that shouldn't be there. A hospital room, white walls, machines beeping, Tom lying in a bed with tubes in his mouth. His eyes were closed and his skin was grey. On the heart monitor, I could see the time. 11:47. "Liz?" Tom's voice sounded far away, even though he was standing right beside me. "Are you okay? You look really pale." I blinked, and the hospital room was gone. Just fog and trees again. But I could still smell the antiseptic. Still hear the machines beeping. Tom was looking through his binoculars now, scanning the trees. "There's something up there," he said. "Something big. It's watching us." I looked where he was pointing, but all I could see was fog. But I felt it too, eyes on us, big red eyes that could see things we couldn't, things that were going to happen. My compass was spinning like crazy, north, south, east, west, round and round like it couldn't find magnetic north anymore, like something was messing with it, something that didn't belong in our world. The metallic taste in my mouth was getting stronger. Blood, Tom's blood. And I realized with cold, sick certainty that 11:47 wasn't just a time. It was when Tom was going to die. That's when I saw the scratches in the rock. We were standing next to a big granite boulder, the kind that's been there for thousands of years. But carved deep into its surface were fresh marks, claw marks, and they weren't random scratches either. They spelled out numbers, 11:47 p.m., October 18th, 3 days from now. "Tom," I whispered, "look at this." But when I turned around, Tom wasn't looking at the rock. He was staring up at the trees, his mouth hanging open. His face had gone completely white. "Liz," he said in a voice I'd never heard before, a scared little boy voice. "Look up, slowly." I raised my head and saw them. 2 red lights shining down at us through the fog. At first I thought they were flashlights, maybe other rangers looking for us, but they were too high up, too far apart, and they weren't moving like flashlights move. They were moving like eyes. The lights got brighter and I could see more. A shape behind them, something huge perched in the trees above us. Wings. Massive wings that stretched wider than any bird should have, but it wasn't a bird. It was something else, something that shouldn't exist. The creature moved, and I heard the sound of branches breaking, not falling to the ground, just breaking, like it was so heavy the trees couldn't hold it properly. Then it dropped down, not flying, just dropping like a stone. It landed on the ground 20 feet away from us without making a sound. No thud, no footsteps, nothing. Now I could see it clearly. It was taller than a man, but shaped wrong. Too thin, too long. Its arms stretched down past where its knees should be, ending in hands with fingers like knives. Its legs bent backward, like a bird's legs, but bigger, much bigger, and its face. I'll never forget its face. It didn't have a face like people do, just a smooth, dark surface where a face should be. But those red eyes were there, glowing like car headlights. They looked right through me, not at me, through me, like they could see everything I'd ever done, everything I was going to do. Tom made a sound, a whimper, like a hurt animal. "Don't. Run," I told him quietly. "Don't move." But I don't think the creature wanted to hurt us. It tilted its head to one side, like it was curious, like it was studying us, trying to figure us out. Then the visions started. They came fast, like someone was flipping through a photo book in my head. Pictures of things that hadn't happened yet, but they felt real, more real than standing in that forest. I saw the mine, the old copper mine 5 miles from here. I saw a school bus pulling up to it, 30 kids getting out laughing and talking. A field trip. I saw the ground shaking, rocks falling, the mine collapsing. I saw the children screaming, trapped under tons of stone and dirt. I saw the rescue workers digging for days, finding nothing but bodies. All of this happening at exactly 11:47 p.m., 3 days from now. But then the vision changed. I saw Tom running toward the mine. I saw him shouting warnings, trying to get the children to safety. I saw the ground shake, and I saw Tom disappear under the falling rocks. The children lived. Tom died. Then another vision. Tom staying safe while the children went into the mine. 30 kids dying while Tom lived. Back and forth. Tom or the children. The children or Tom, over and over. I understood what the creature was showing me. A choice. 1 life or 30 lives. Tom's life or the children's lives. The creature stepped closer. Its red eyes got brighter. I could feel its thoughts inside my head, even though it never spoke. It was showing me the future. All the possible futures. And in every single one, people died. The only question was who? Tom or the children. I had to choose. The creature spread its wings then. They were even bigger than I thought. They blocked out the sky, casting shadows that looked like tombstones on the ground around us. Tom was shaking now, not from cold, from fear, from the knowledge that something impossible was happening to us. "Liz," he whispered, "what does it want?" I looked at the creature's glowing red eyes. I looked at Tom, young and scared and alive. And I realized I already knew what it wanted. It wanted me to become like it, a prophet, someone who could see the future and make the terrible choices that nobody else could make. Someone who would have to decide who lives and who dies. The creature lifted one of its long arms and pointed toward the old mining road. Its message was clear: follow me. I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed to run the other way, but I knew I had to see, I had to understand what was going to happen. "Come on, Tom," I said quietly. "We need to follow it." Tom shook his head. "Are you crazy? That thing isn't natural, Liz. We should get out of here." But I was already walking. I couldn't stop myself. The creature moved ahead of us, floating just above the ground. It didn't make footprints. It didn't bend the grass. It was like watching a shadow move. We walked for 20 minutes through the forest until we reached the old copper mine. It had been closed for 30 years, but the entrance was still there, a big hole in the side of the hill with rusty metal beams holding up the roof. The creature stopped and turned its red eyes on me. More visions flooded my mind. I saw the school bus again, bright yellow, full of children. They were coming here tomorrow for a field trip. Their teacher thought the old mine would be educational, a chance to learn about local history. But the mine wasn't safe. The support beams were old and rotten. The ground was unstable. One small vibration would bring the whole thing down. I saw it happening, the children walking into the mine at 11:45 p.m. 2 minutes later, at 11:47, the collapse, 30 kids buried alive. But then I saw the other vision. Tom running toward the mine, shouting warnings, the children hearing him and running back to the bus. And Tom caught in the collapse instead of them. The creature showed me more. I saw myself with a choice to make. I could warn the school about the mine, tell them not to come. But they wouldn't believe me. Just like the Air Force didn't believe me about the helicopter crash. Or I could make sure Tom was in the right place at the right time. Make sure he saved those children, even if it killed him. Liz. Tom's voice sounded far away. You're bleeding. I touched my nose. My fingers came away red. The visions were getting stronger and they were hurting me. But I could see everything now, every detail, every choice, every consequence. The creature stepped closer to me. Its red eyes got brighter, and I felt its thoughts mixing with mine. It was showing me what I would become if I made this choice. What would happen to me after Tom died? I would see everything, every accident before it happened, every death before it occurred. I would know when people were going to die, and I would have to choose who to save and who to let go. I would become a prophet of death, and prophets don't get to close their eyes. The children, I whispered. 30 children. Tom looked at me like I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. But I could see their faces now. Little faces, scared faces. They didn't deserve to die because adults made bad decisions. But Tom didn't deserve to die either. He was good, he was kind. He made me laugh when everything else was dark. He was the only person who didn't think I was crazy. The creature spread its wings again. Time was running out. I had to choose. I pulled out my emergency flares, 3 of them. If I fired them toward the mine entrance tomorrow night, it would create vibrations, small vibrations that would trigger the collapse early, before the children arrived. But Tom would be here. He always did the night patrol on this route. He would see the flares and come running to help, thinking someone was in trouble. He would be right under the mine entrance at 11:47 p.m. My hands were shaking as I held the flares. Tom was watching me, worried. Liz, what are you doing? Why do you have those out? I looked at his face, his young, trusting face. He had no idea what was coming. No idea that I was about to murder him to save 30 children I'd never met. But I could hear them, the children, laughing and playing somewhere in the future. They deserve to keep laughing. They deserve to grow up and have families and dreams. The creature's eyes got even brighter. It was waiting for my decision. I made my choice. The next night, I fired the flares. Tom came running, just like I knew he would. Liz, what's wrong? Who needs help? Nobody, I said quietly. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm so sorry. The ground started shaking. The mine entrance groaned and cracked. Tom looked up just as the rocks started falling. Liz, he screamed, run! But I was already running away from him, running away from my choice. I heard the crash behind me, tons of rock and dirt falling, and then silence. At exactly 11:47 p.m., Tom Bradley died, and 30 children lived. The creature was gone when I turned around, but I could still feel its eyes on me. I could still feel its thoughts in my head. I had become what it wanted me to become, a prophet, a murderer, someone who had to make impossible choices, someone who would never sleep peacefully again. That was 6 months ago. I'm sitting in a small white room now, writing this story with crayons on paper. The doctors here don't let me have pens or pencils. They say sharp objects aren't safe for someone like me. That's what they call people who see things that haven't happened yet. After Tom died, I tried to go back to work. I tried to pretend everything was normal, but it wasn't normal. The visions got stronger, much stronger. I could see every accident before it happened, every fire before it started, every person who was going to die, and exactly when it would happen. I tried to help, I really did. I called the police about car crashes before they happened. I warned the fire department about house fires before they started. I told the hospital about heart attacks before people felt chest pain. But nobody believed me. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was making it up until I started being right every single time. The police found me 3 months ago, standing next to a car wreck on Highway 6. The accident had just happened. 3 people were dead, but I had called 911 2 hours before it occurred, giving them the exact location and time. "How did you know?" they asked me. I told them the truth. I told them about the creature with red eyes. I told them about Tom. I told them about the children I saved. They brought me here, to this place with white walls and locked doors. They said I needed help. They said I was having a breakdown. Maybe I am, but the visions keep coming. Yesterday, I saw a train derailment. 47 people will die next, Tuesday at 2:15 p.m. I told the doctors, but they just gave me more medicine and patted my head. The medicine doesn't stop the visions. Nothing stops them. Last week, I drew a map of downtown with crayons. I marked all the places where accidents will happen in the next month. The doctors threw it away. They said I was having episodes, but federal agent Marcus Washington didn't throw it away. He came here yesterday. He sat across from me in this white room and asked me questions. "How do you know these things, Elizabeth?" he asked. I told him about the creature, about the choice I made, about becoming a prophet. He didn't laugh. He didn't tell me I was crazy. He just listened. "The mine collapse," he said finally. "The one where Tom Bradley died. We investigated it. You were right about the children. There was supposed to be a field trip there the next day. 30 kids. The school cancelled it at the last minute because of your warning." I nodded. "I saved them. You also killed Tom." "I know." Agent Washington leaned forward. "The thing is, Elizabeth, you've been right about everything else too. Every prediction, every warning. We've been tracking you for months." He showed me a file, pictures of accidents I had predicted, news articles about disasters I had warned about. All of them had happened exactly when I said they would. "We want to work with you," he said. "We want to help you use this gift." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Gift? You think this is a gift? Do you know what it's like to see people die every single day? To know exactly when and how, and not be able to save them all?" Agent Washington was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "What do you see when you look at me?" I looked at his face, really looked, and I saw it, clear as day. "Heart attack," I said quietly. 3 years from now, you'll be at your daughter's wedding. You'll be dancing with her when it happens. 7:23 p.m. on a Saturday." His face went pale. Can I prevent it?" I shook my head. "I don't know. I've never been able to change what I see, only choose who lives and who dies when I have to make that choice." That night, during the thunderstorm, I left. I knew exactly when the guards would be distracted. I knew which door would be unlocked. I knew which path to take through the woods. The storm killed 3 guards and hurt 7 patients, just like I knew it would. But I had to leave. I had work to do. I'm out here now, somewhere in the world. I show up at disasters 24 hours before they happen. I try to warn people, but they think I'm just a crazy homeless woman. Sometimes I save a few people. Sometimes I have to choose who lives and who dies. Sometimes I can't save anyone at all, but I keep seeing the creature, in my dreams, in reflections, in shadows that move wrong. It shows me new disasters, new choices, new ways that people will die. And I realize this is my life now, forever, I'm the prophet who can see death coming, but I can never close my eyes. The creature made me this way when Tom died. And now I understand what it really was. It wasn't a monster. It was someone like me. Someone who had been given the same terrible gift. Someone who had to make the same impossible choices. Someone who had been doing this for a very, very long time. And now it's my turn. I can see everyone's death now, including yours, if you're listening to this story. But don't worry, I won't tell you when it happens. Some things are better left unknown. My name is Patricia O'Connor, but everyone calls me Patty. I'm a park ranger here in the boundary waters of Minnesota, and I wish I could tell you this story has a happy ending. But it doesn't. Some stories don't end happy, especially the true. And it was January 1976, and the cold was the kind that bites. Not just cold, the kind of cold that makes your teeth hurt and your lungs burn with every breath. 30 below zero, and that was before the wind started howling. The snow was so deep it came up to my waist, and everything was white as far. As you could see, pure white, like someone had thrown a giant blanket over the whole world. I was out there with Murphy, my St. Bernard. He used to belong to a family that got lost in a blizzard 2 years back. We found them too late, frozen solid in their car. Murphy had stayed with them the whole time, waiting. Good dog, loyal dog, sometimes too loyal. The trees stood around us like giant ice sculptures. Everything was so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat. That's the thing about winter up here. The silence gets inside your head and makes you think things you shouldn't think. I had my grandfather's medal around my neck, the one he brought from Ireland. He used to tell me stories about the old country, about the hungry years when people ate anything they could find just to stay alive. Hunger changes people, Patty, he'd say, makes them do things they never thought they could do. I never really understood what he meant until that winter. 6 months before this patrol, I lost my brother Michael. Climbing accident up on Eagles Peak. When we found him, something was wrong, really wrong. He was still alive, but he had bite marks on his arms, his own bite marks. The doctors said it was shock, that people do strange things when they're hurt and scared. But Michael looked at me with these hungry eyes, and I knew it was something else. I used to be a paramedic before I became a ranger. Saved lots of people, saw lots of bad things. But there was this one car accident that made me quit. My partner Jake and I were trying to help this injured man, and when I turned around, Jake was eating pieces of the victim, just eating them like it was normal. His eyes were empty, like nobody was home inside his head anymore. That's when I decided to work alone in the woods. Woods are safer than people, I thought. Animals kill to eat, sure, but they don't go crazy. They don't get hungry for things they shouldn't want. Murphy started acting weird about 2 hours into our patrol. He kept sniffing the air and whining, like he smelled something that scared him. Dogs know things we don't. They can smell fear, smell death, smell things that aren't right. "What is it, boy?" I asked him, but he just looked at me with those big brown eyes and whined again. The wind picked up, and I swear it carried a smell with it. Sweet, like maple syrup. But underneath that was something else. Something that made my stomach growl even though I wasn't hungry, or at least I didn't think I was hungry. That's when I noticed my mouth was watering, and I couldn't figure out why. Murphy suddenly stopped walking and started digging in the snow. His big paws threw white powder everywhere as he dug deeper and deeper. I thought maybe he found a dead rabbit or something, but when I got closer, I saw what he'd found. It was a hand, a human hand. The fingers were white and frozen, but something had been chewing on them, gnawing them down to the bone. The bite marks were fresh, maybe a day old, maybe less. My ranger training kicked in, and I knew I should. And call this in on my radio. I pulled out my radio and turned it on. Static filled the air. Then I heard something that made my blood turn cold. Chewing sounds, like someone eating something crunchy. Then a low moan, like someone tasting something. Really good. "Hello?" I said into the radio. Base, this is Ranger O'Connor. Do you copy? More chewing sounds. Then a voice, faint and far away. So hungry. So very hungry. I turned off the radio fast. My hands were shaking, but not from the cold. Murphy started walking in circles around our camp. He was sniffing the ground, and that's when I saw them. Footprints in the snow. But these weren't normal footprints. They were human feet, but bare. No shoes, no boots, just bare feet walking through snow that was 30 below zero. The weird thing was, the footprints got longer as they went, like whatever was walking was stretching out with each step. I followed the tracks with my eyes. They made a big circle around where we'd been standing. Someone had been watching us, someone with no shoes on, in the middle of a Minnesota winter. My stomach growled again, louder this time. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, but I wasn't thinking about food until that moment. Now I was thinking about food a lot. I kept imagining a hot meal, something warm and filling. Murphy whined and pressed against my leg. When I looked down at him, he was eating snow, but the snow around his mouth was pink. Pink, like it had blood in it. Murphy, stop that, I said. But he kept eating the bloody snow like he was starving. That's when I heard it. A sound coming from across the frozen lake, low and soft like someone moaning, but not a hurt moan. More like someone tasting something delicious for the first time. The sound made me feel warm inside, even though I was freezing. It made my mouth water more. I found myself walking toward the sound before I realized what I was doing. Something was very wrong out here. Something was watching us, following us, and I was pretty sure it wasn't human. But the scary part wasn't that something wanted to hurt us. The scary part was that I was starting to want something too. Something I couldn't name. Something I'd never wanted before. My grandfather's voice seemed to whisper in my ear, even though he'd been dead for 5 years. The hunger never leaves, Patricia. It just waits for winter. I decided we needed to get out of there. Fast. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made me stop cold. There were marks on the trees, long scratches going straight up the trunk, like someone had climbed up with their fingernails. But these trees were 30 feet tall, and the scratches went all the way to the top. Murphy started barking at something. Above us, I looked up into the pine branches, and that's when I saw them. Eyes, yellow eyes watching us from way up high, but they weren't animal eyes. They were human eyes, hungry human eyes. "Hello," I called out. My voice sounded small in all that snow and silence. "Are you hurt? Do you need help?" The eyes blinked once, slow and deliberate. Then I heard a voice that made my heart stop. "Patty?" It was Michael's voice, my dead brother's voice. "Patty, I'm so hungry. I've been hungry since I fell. Please help me." I knew it couldn't be Michael. I'd been to his funeral. I'd thrown dirt on his coffin, but it sounded exactly like him. Something dropped from the tree and landed in the snow about 20 feet away. It looked like a person, but wrong somehow. Too tall, too thin, like someone had stretched it out. Its skin was grey-white, the color of old snow. Murphy ran. My brave, loyal St. Bernard just turned and bolted into the woods. I don't blame him. I wanted to run too. The thing that looked like a person started walking toward me. Its feet were bare and left those long, stretched-out prints in the snow. As it got closer, I could see its face. It had been human once, maybe a long time ago, but hunger had changed it into something else. Its cheeks were sunken in, its lips were cracked and bleeding, and its teeth were too sharp and too many. "I'm so hungry, Patty," it said in Michael's voice. "I haven't eaten in so long. Nothing tastes good anymore, nothing except—" It stopped talking and sniffed the air. Then it smiled, and I saw all those sharp teeth. "You smell good, sister. You smell like food." I should have been terrified. I should have run like Murphy did. But instead, I felt something weird happening in my head. The thing's presence made me feel warm for the first time in hours, and hungry, so very hungry. I started thinking about food. Hot soup, fresh bread, roasted meat. My mouth was watering, so much I had to swallow. "What are you?" I whispered. "I'm what happens when the hunger wins," it said. "I'm what your grandfather never told you about. What he became during those hungry years in Ireland." The creature moved closer, and I could. Smell it now? It smelled like cooked meat and maple syrup. It smelled delicious. "Join me, Patty. Stop fighting it. You've been hungry your whole life, haven't you? Hungry for something you couldn't name." I realized I was walking toward it. My feet were moving on their own, taking me closer to this thing that wanted to eat me. But the scary part was, I wanted to get closer too. Pictures flashed in my head. Not my pictures. The creature was putting them there. I saw myself eating Murphy. I saw myself eating strangers who got lost in the woods. I saw myself eating my own fingers, and in the pictures I was smiling. "No," I said, but my voice was weak. "No, I won't." "You already are," it whispered. "Look at your hands." I looked down. My fingernails were bloody. I'd been chewing on them without realizing it, and they tasted good. I ran. Finally, my body listened to my brain instead of my stomach, and I ran as fast as I could through the deep snow. Behind me, I could hear the creature following. It wasn't running, it was walking, slow and steady, like it knew I couldn't get away. I saw an old cabin up ahead, a trapper's cabin that had been empty for years. I crashed through the door and slammed it shut behind me. My hands were shaking as I pushed a heavy table against the door. The cabin was dark and smelled terrible, like something had died in there a long time ago. When my eyes got used to the dark, I saw bones scattered on the floor, lots of bones, and they'd all been chewed on. I pulled out my emergency flares. The bright red light filled the cabin, and that's when I saw Murphy. My poor dog was tied up in the corner, and there was a fire pit next to him with wood all ready to burn. Someone had been planning to cook him. Murphy was still alive, but barely. He looked at me with tired eyes like he was giving up. I ran over to untie him, but that's when the walls of the cabin started breaking apart. The creature tore through the wood walls like they were made of paper. Its long claws were dripping with something sticky and sweet that looked just like maple syrup. "You can't run from hunger, Patty," it said. "Hunger always wins." I lit one of the flares and threw it at the creature. The fire caught on its gray skin, and it screamed. But I screamed too, because watching it burn made me feel bad. I wanted to put out the fire. I wanted to save it so I could taste it. The creature kept coming toward me, even though it was on fire. The flames made its skin smell like Sunday dinner, like the roast beef my mom used to make. My mouth was watering again. I had one more flare left. I could burn down the whole cabin, kill the creature, save Murphy and myself. That's what a normal person would do. That's what the old me would have done. But I didn't want to be normal anymore. I wanted to be hungry. I almost didn't light the last flare. I almost let the creature take me. But then I saw Murphy's eyes, still trusting me even though he was hurt and scared. He still believed I was. Good. I lit the flare and threw it at the pile of old wood and bones. The whole cabin went up in flames. The creature screamed and burned, but this time I forced myself to look away. I grabbed Murphy and ran outside into the snow. Behind us, the cabin burned bright against the dark winter sky. I thought it was over. I thought we were safe. But as I held Murphy in my arms, I realized I was chewing on something. I looked at my hands. There was a piece of the creature's skin between my fingers. A piece I must have grabbed when the walls came down. I'd taken a bite. Just a small one, just to see what it tasted like. And it tasted wonderful. That was 6 weeks ago. Murphy didn't make it. He died on the way back to town, and I buried him in the snow. But I kept thinking about him, about how he would taste if I cooked him right. I tried to push those thoughts away, but they kept coming back stronger. I told the police about the creature, about the cabin, about everything. They found the burned remains and the bones, but they said it was probably just a crazy person living in the woods. They didn't believe me about the creature that used to be human. But I knew the truth. The hunger was inside me now, growing bigger every day. At first I could fight it. I'd chew my fingernails until they bled, and that helped a little. But fingernails don't fill you up. They just make you want more. Then I started having dreams. Dreams about people I knew, people in town. In the dreams, they were all sitting around a big dinner table, and they were the dinner. I would wake up with my mouth watering. The dreams felt so real, so right. 3 weeks after the cabin burned down, I couldn't take it anymore. There was a hiker who got lost near Eagles Peak. A young man alone, nobody knew where he'd gone. I found him first. I told myself I was just going to help him. That's what rangers do. We help people. But when I saw him sitting there by his little fire, hurt and scared, and trusting me to save him, all I could think about was how hungry I was. I don't want to tell you what happened next, but I will tell you it was easier than I thought it would be, and it tasted better than anything I'd ever eaten. After that, it got easier every time. Lost hikers, campers who wandered too far from their friends, people who wouldn't be missed right away. I became good at finding them, good at helping them trust me. The hunger never goes away now. It's always there, telling me to look for more. Food, more people. And the crazy thing is, I'm not the only one anymore. Last week I saw Jake, my old paramedic partner, the one who ate pieces of that car crash victim. He was in the woods too, looking for the same kind of food I was looking for. When he saw me, he smiled, and I saw his teeth had gotten sharper. "Hey, Patty," he said, "isn't it wonderful, being hungry like this, being free?" We talked for a while. Turns out there are more of us now. People who got too hungry, who found out what human meat tastes like and couldn't stop wanting it. We're spreading out through the woods, through the towns, finding more people to share our hunger with. The federal agents came looking for me. Last month, they had questions about all the missing hikers, but I was ready for them. I showed them my badge, my uniform, my helpful ranger smile. I told them I'd been searching for the missing people too. One of the agents, a young man named David Kim, seemed really interested in my story, really trusting. He wanted to see where I'd found the burned cabin. I said I'd be happy to show him, just the two of us, out in the woods where it's quiet. He's coming back next week. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. The thing is, I don't feel bad about what I've done. I should feel bad, but I don't. The hunger has taken away all the bad feelings, all the guilt and fear and sadness. Now there's just the hunger, and it feels like coming home. My grandfather was right. The hunger never leaves. It just waits for winter, and winter is coming again.